Hello everybody, Avion Solar here, and today I'm going to talk about how to interview suspects as a member of the Los Santos Police Service on Roleplay UK's 5M server. Now, in the past, we've not offered any trainings with regards to interviewing suspects. However, with recent policy changes and the further introduction of PACE codes, we're going to have to address this issue. When interviewing someone, you should use the PACE method. What I'm going to do is I'm going to explain each section of the method, and then I'm going to use clips from an interview I conducted recently to show you how to apply it. Planning and preparation is the first part of the PACE model, and it's quite an important step. In this step, an officer should plan out what the objectives are for the interview, what questions they want to put to the suspect, as well as what evidence they want to put to the suspect. To do this, what I do is I create an incident report, I add the offences to it, and I also add a list of the evidence. The rest of the incident report can be filled out later. It's worth noting that at this point you should make sure that you do have links to the evidence so that you can show them to the suspect if you need to later on in the interview. I then look at the offences that are on the incident report and consider what are the points to prove. For example, in the case of criminal damage, the points to prove are that an individual destroyed or damaged property, that that property belonged to another, and the suspect either intended or was reckless as to destroying or damaging the property, and of course, they didn't have a legal defence for doing so. The second part of the interview process is to engage and explain. During this step, an officer should explain to the suspect why they're being interviewed and what the questions will be regarding. The officer should then start the interview, and when beginning the interview, an officer must state that the interview has been recorded, state the time, date, and location of the interview. They should introduce themselves, as well as any other officers in the room. The suspect should then be allowed to introduce themselves, and anyone else in the room should also introduce themselves and why they're there. For example, the suspect's solicitor would introduce themselves as the suspect's legal representation. If anyone else enters the room during the interview, they should introduce themselves and the reason why they have entered the room. The officer needs to inform the suspect why they are being interviewed before reading them the when questioned caution. The suspect also needs to inform they have the right to free legal advice, and if they wish to consult their solicitor or have a solicitor contacted during the interview will be stopped and this facilitated. Finally, the officer needs to inform the suspect they have the right to a copy of the interview record. Now, I'm aware this seems like a lot, so I've created a crib sheet to help you that can be found in the description below. Here's what it looks like when I conduct this step of the PACE process. So the interview is going to be recorded, and at the end of recording, I will also explain how you can get a copy of that interview recording should you require it. Understand that?
Yeah, okay, let's go.
Okay, just have a quick drink before we start. My throat's a bit dry. Okie dokie. Alright. I'll just turn my radio down as well. There we go. Okay, I'll just put the cassette in. You can see this is a sealed cassette I've just put in. Brand new. This interview has been recorded and a copy of the recording may be used should your case go to trial. I'm Police Chief Inspector 1484 Avion Solar of the Los Santos Police Service, currently head of the PSAT Standards Department. The time is 14:53 on the 15th of October 2022. And today I'm going to be interviewing, state your name for the record please.
Don Johnson.
On suspicion of dangerous driving, failure to stop for the police, assaulting an emergency worker in the execution of their duties, criminal damage, and aggravated taking a vehicle without the owner's consent. Before I can discuss this with you, I've got to caution you. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention, when questioned, something that you'll later on in court. Anything that you do say may be given in evidence. Do you understand that? Mr. Johnson, do you understand that?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Okie dokie. During this interview, you do have the right to have a legal representation. Today you've been represented by
Solicitor Jake Belfort.
Mr. Johnson. Are you happy for Mr. Belfort to be your solicitor?
What was that?
Are you happy for Mr. Belfort to be your solicitor?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you're happy you've had a chance to discuss with your solicitor before this interview?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. If at any point during the interview you want to have a consultation with a solicitor, let me know. I will stop the recording and step out of the room so you can have that consultation. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. At the end of the interview, you do have the right to have a copy of the interview recording, okay?
Okay.
And this interview is taking place in interview room 2 at Mission Row Police Station. Okay, so in the account section of the peace process, an officer should ask questions of the suspect. The officer should initially start with nice open questions such as, tell me what you were doing earlier today, talk to me about the allegations, explain to me why, and so on. This allows the suspect to give a full and free account of what has happened. The officer should allow the suspect to respond and not interrupt them while doing so. Once the suspect has given their account, more closed questions should be asked to try and get more detail and clarification from the account, such as, where were you at this time? What colour car were you in? Who were you with? For closed questions, it's worth considering the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, why, and how. Once an officer is happy that a full account from the suspect has been given, they should challenge any parts they believe to be inaccurate by putting evidence to them, such as, okay, so at this time you said you were at home. However, this CCTV image shows you were at Noble Stores. Will you care to explain that? In this way, we put evidence to suspects and give them a chance to correct any inaccuracies in their account. Okay, so talk to me about why you think you've been arrested.
So I was speeding, and then you guys started chasing me. So I panicked, and I was just driving off, and but was standing in the way, so I couldn't stop. So I drove him basically down. Um, so it was an accident. That was actually it was actually not my fault, you know. And then just surrendered me, and yeah, that was it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. So let's start with the vehicle you're driving. Talk to me about that vehicle, please.
Yeah, so that was a vehicle I just found on the street. It was open, so I just took it because I didn't want to walk, you know. And yeah, it was just the first car I found.
Okay. Does that vehicle belong to you?
No, sir.
Are you the registered keeper of that vehicle?
No, sir.
Do you know who the owner of that vehicle is?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Did the owner of that vehicle give you permission to drive that vehicle?
No, he didn't.
Okay, okay. Let's talk more about the incident where you struck the motorcycle officer, shall we? So tell me a bit more about
Yeah,
that.
but I mean, that was the police officer's fault, you know, because he was standing in front of me while I was driving, and I couldn't stop before I hit him.
Okay, dokie. What side of the road was the police officer on?
The police officer on the bike.
Yes.
He was that guy was in the middle of the road, so I couldn't just turn. It was too late, and then he was just standing there. So I had to.
Okay, so you're saying the motorcycle officer was in the middle of the road, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Was there anything else in the road that might have obstructed you?
No, it was that guy, and then the other police car, I think, came, and I crashed into him, and that's when you guys just blocked me from going anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. I'm just going to show to you now Exhibit Alpha Sierra 01. 1 second. There you go. If you just want to have a look at that first place, I'll just slide the image across the table. Capture it from my body worn video. Talk to me about Exhibit Alpha Sierra 01.
Who's that? What is that?
The exhibit I've just sent you.
Um,
The
you know,
body worn video image.
I don't really want to talk about this anymore. I'm fine.
The fourth step in the interview is a closure section. In this section, the officer should sum up what the suspect has said back to them and make sure it is accurate. If there are any inaccuracies, these should be addressed. The interviewer should then ask the suspect if there is anything more they wish to say before ending the interview. Okay, so I'm just going to sum up what you've said in this interview. So, in relation to the vehicle you're driving, you've admitted that the vehicle wasn't yours. That the vehicle was one you found at the road and you did not have permission from the owners to drive it. You then said you did not stop for the police because you were speeding and that you were scared of stopping for the police. You've stated that you thought you drove in a somewhat dangerous manner because you're all over the road and that you swerved and you did hit the officer. You claim it was an accident, but you do admit that you were being reckless in your
Yes,
driving.
sir.
Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Based on what you've said, I intend to report you for the question of prosecution for the offences of dangerous driving, failed to stop for police, criminal damage, assaulting the emergency worker in the execution of their duties, and taking a vehicle without the owner's consent. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned something that you later on in court. Anything that you do say may be good evidence. Is there anything further you'd like to say in your defence to that?
No, that's. I think yeah, it's fair.
Okay. The time is 15:09 and I'm concluding this interview. The final section of the peace model is evaluate. Once the interview is over, the officer should evaluate the information that has been gained and look what steps need to be taken after the interview. If you want to learn more about the peace model, I'll put some useful links in the description below. I thank you very much for watching and I hope you found this useful. And as always, I hope you have a very nice day.